Greetings once more, dear friends. Fanatical Dragon back again. Time for a brand new movie review, which I haven't had a chance to do for a little bit of time, but showing in the cinemas in the UK right now is Nick Cheung's Peg of My Heart, psychological thriller with quite a lot of horror overtones that, if you're a fan of Japanese J-horror, or a fan of indeed Hong Kong horror movies, or thrillers, I would highly recommend you check out. Going to do a quick non-spoiler review. There's quite a lot of beats in this that I think are better if you go into it not knowing, but to give you a little bit of an overview of what's going on, Nick Cheung has directed the movie, also co-wrote the script and acts in the film, though not really his film. I would argue that this is really Terrance Lau's movie, and Terrance Lau we recently saw doing wonderful things in Twilight of the Warrior, and then he was kind of the starring guy in Stuntman, which got released last year. So great to see him leading another movie, and I would say that he is pretty much the main character in the film. He's playing Dr. Man, a psychiatrist who's plagued with kind of nighttime bad visions or bad dreams, and maybe as a way of helping him cope with his own situation, he's kind of focusing in on patients who also are having problems with kind of not being able to sleep, essentially. And he encounters, really by chance, a taxi driver who's been played by Nick Cheung, who is basically complaining that he's not really been able to sleep properly for years. There's a crash quite early on. The taxi driver gets himself in a crash and ends up in hospital, so he is reunited with Terrance Lau's character, who then takes it upon himself to try and get to the bottom of what's going on with this guy, why he's kind of struggling to sleep, and why he's being plagued with visions. His wife also seems to be affected. So his wife, played by Fala, she's quite unhinged in this in a pretty incredible way. And because of the fact that we're dealing with the nature of visions or dreams or nightmares, maybe more appropriately, a lot of the film we do actually kind of see these things take place. So there's a whole bunch of very dreamlike, quite abstract images that the director's used to basically help convey the difficult situation that these people are in. It becomes a little bit of a procedural, as Dr. Man, as Terrance Lau's character, tries to get to the bottom of exactly why Nick Cheung is in this situation. There's some great supporting characters. We get Rebecca Zhu's playing Donna, who's kind of Dr. Man's, I guess, kind of like chief nurse, or kind of like his main support at the hospital. We also get Yuen playing Dr. Man's father. There's a little bit of a history there that I don't want to go too much into. There's a very quick cameo from the wonderful German Cheung, who's actually Nick Cheung's real-life cousin, who's playing a bodyguard to a character that I don't want to tell you who's in it, because there's a nice mystery guest that you see fleetingly through the film. Very small cameo, but it's kind of great to see him in another new Hong Kong movie. And cinematography for the film has been done by Jason Kwan, and I think cinematography is really where the film shines. An awful lot of the dream imagery beautifully captured. Like I say, some of it is quite abstract, but really well realised, and they've clearly done some stuff underwater with Terrance Lau for some of the sequences. He looks like he's had a pretty tough shoot in places, but the production design, absolutely incredible. It looks really, really kind of very vivid and very amazing. And Nick Cheung's direction throughout, pretty damn solid. It's sometimes hard for actors to also direct themselves, but all of his scenes in the movie are really good. He's doing a very, very good job of playing a very, very tortured soul. The only place where it slightly stumbled for me a little bit was in the editing, and I feel they tried to maybe create a few more jump scares a little bit through editing, and they kind of mess around with a few of the kind of more gimmicky techniques that you sometimes see in digital editing, which didn't always land for me. But for the most part, that's at microseconds of the movie's runtime. Movie runs for about an hour and a half and never outstays its welcome. I would highly recommend seeing it on the big screen, because I think it'd be great to see with a full audience in a pretty packed cinema if possible, because there is quite a few jump scares which work quite effectively, but it's not a straight up horror movie. There's not an obsessive amount of gore in it. It's kind of much more of a psychological thriller than it is a horror, but there's, like I say, quite a lot of horror overtones to it, and I think Nick Cheung's spoken a lot about wanting to kind of keep the legacy of Hong Kong horror cinema alive, the kind of old Cat 3 movies that we used to see. And it reminded me in places of An Hui's Visible Secret, though I actually enjoyed this an awful lot more than I did Visible Secret. I thought Visible Secret was a little bit plodding, where this actually zips along pretty quickly, and kind of kept my attention the whole way through. I like a procedural, I like a sort of detective drama, and even if it's not an actual police detective that's doing the investigation, I really enjoyed Terrance Lau's character diving in to try and find out really what's driving his patients to distraction, and kind of getting himself in trouble for it. There's a couple of scenes when he's pulled up by the hospital board and really been challenged about the fact that he's kind of potentially violating patients' privacy by kind of going into their private lives and kind of visiting their homes and stuff. And so he kind of gets reprimanded for that, but kind of continues to do it in the case of Nick Cheung's character to try and get to the bottom of things. If you're not that familiar with Nick Cheung, he was quite a long time Johnny To regular. So he was in Breaking News and Election 1 and 2 and Exiled. And more recent years he's been in Unbeatable, a bunch of other movies. He was in Wars of the Future in quite a small little cameo role, but really solid actor, and interesting to kind of see how his directing's evolving over the course of his various features. I think this is the fourth film that he's directed, but it's always a wonderful thing when we get a chance to see new Hong Kong and new mainland Chinese cinema at the cinema in the UK, because it's really still quite few and far between, and we're not going to get more unless we go and support them. So I would highly recommend that if it is showing in a cinema near you, and I think it's showing at Odeon and View cinemas across the country, and I'll leave links down below where you can check out and see if it's showing somewhere near you. If you do get the chance to go and see it, I would highly recommend that you do. It's going to have quite a short run, but I enjoyed this infinitely more than any of the big American pictures that have been kind of in the cinemas just now. I enjoyed it more than The Accountant 2, and enjoyed it way more than Thunderbolts, which also did kind of in a roundabout way deal with mental health, but I thought this was a much more realistic examination of people struggling with mental health issues, but very different types of movie. But yeah, that's it. That's Peg in My Heart, directed by Nick Cheung, brought to us in the UK thanks to the good folks at Central Cine Media, who've been incredible, but also given me an awful lot of the clips that you're seeing in this little review. So thank you very much to them and to their support. And like I say, to anyone remotely interested in Hong Kong cinema, if you're buying Hong Kong movies on Blu-ray and supporting those boutique labels, do also try and support them on the big screen, because like I say, if we don't keep going, we ain't going to get more of them, and that would be a damn shame. So that's it. We'll wrap up for today. I've been the Fanatical Dragon. 2 thumbs way up for Nick Cheung's Peg in My Heart. Let me know in the comments down below if you have seen the movie or if you're going to see the movie, and I will see you on the next video very soon. Take care.